How do people not see this as one of the all-time biggest stories in sports? This didn't happen 10 years ago, then 18 years ago, then 35 years ago. It's happening right now for the first time. She's moving the needle, and she moved it in the WNBA draft.
When billionaires lose patience, jobs disappear. And in Indiana, that moment may have already arrived. After a season filled with rumors, tension, and more headlines than highlights, new reports suggest that Steve Simon, the quiet billionaire behind the Indiana fever, has made up his mind. He's done waiting. He's done debating. Stephanie White's time in Indiana could be nearing its end. The whispers started small, a text here, a phone call there. But by mid-October, multiple insiders were saying the same thing. Steve Simon wants a new coach before next season begins. To most fans, this might seem sudden, but those paying close attention could see it coming for months. Every locker room argument, every power struggle, every awkward press conference, it all led to this moment. Now, the question isn't if Steve Simon will make a change. It's
WNBA stars. Well, there's one that moves the needle. I think you have leverage. I think you deserve more than 9%. But it's just misstep after misstep. Time to grow up, girls. Like fast. Like this is the player that got you off the airline.
The team made progress, sure, but the chemistry was shaky. The rotations were questioned, and the locker room was divided. Sources say Steve Simon was furious after a late-season collapse that exposed everything he'd been trying to fix behind the scenes. Players looked disconnected, and fans noticed the same body language that had haunted Indiana in previous years. According to one front office insider, Simon walked out after that final loss and said just one line: "We're still running this like it's 2015. He wasn't just talking about basketball. He was talking about culture, about control. Simon reportedly told his top executives that
there's millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a U.S. platform. So she's going to do just fine, as will the top players in the league.
Too many players were pulling in different directions. Too much loyalty remained to the old Fever way. And in Steve Simon's mind, the only person who could change that, or was refusing to, was Stephanie White. This wasn't personal. It was philosophical. Stephanie White built her career on teamwork, structure, and accountability. She believed in discipline, 5 players sharing the ball, defending together, and winning the hard way. Steve Simon believed in something else: star power. He wanted the Fever to reflect what made the NBA explode: personalities, offense, and entertainment. Caitlin Clark was the engine, and everything else was supposed to orbit around her. Insider
Clark is a rising star in women's basketball, but faces a stark pay disparity as she enters the WNBA. Clark was the #1 draft pick and is slated to make just $76,535 during her first year on the Indiana Fever.
Simon allegedly cut her off, saying, "We're not developing, we're building a product." That sentence, those 5 words, reportedly ended any trust between them. From that day forward, the line was drawn. Stephanie coached the team, but Simon ran the show. By mid-season, the locker room felt like 2 different worlds. One group stood behind White, praising her leadership and calling her the only adult voice in the room. The other gravitated toward Clark, younger, hungrier, and protected by ownership. It wasn't open rebellion. It was quiet division. Players stopped speaking up in film sessions. Huddles looked forced. Reporters noticed post-game answers getting shorter, colder, and more rehearsed. Podcasters began calling it the Fever Mutiny.
Literally, pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. We have a lot of badasses in our league.
Yeah.
Hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league.
An anonymous player allegedly told one journalist, "Coach White has our back." But you can't fight ownership. Steve Simon saw it differently. To him, that kind of talk wasn't loyalty, it was resistance. And billionaires don't tolerate resistance for long, so Simon did what billionaires do when they want answers. He ordered an internal review. Quiet, private, ruthless. Executives were told to evaluate all leadership positions. With a focus on organizational alignment, that phrase might sound harmless, but anyone familiar with corporate culture knows what it really means. Get on board or get out. One insider summarized it perfectly. It's not if Stephanie goes, it's when. And apparently, Simon's patience was running out fast. He reportedly wants a new head coach in place before the next training camp. Not just any coach.
Weeks. All right, you're coming back for the Connecticut Sun game on August
all about how you
30th
feel in the
or
moment.
whatever. It's like, how do you feel? Like, and even like when I have been back, like, I don't know how I'm going to feel the next day after playing. Like when you're dealing with like these type of injuries.
Behind the scenes, the search has already begun. Sources say Simon's team has compiled a short list of potential replacements. Young, analytics-driven, and fully aligned with the Clark-centric vision. One name that keeps popping up is a former Fever assistant known for player empowerment and social media savvy. Another rumored candidate has direct ties to Iowa basketball, someone who understands Clark's system from the ground up. There's even talk of a surprise college hire, a coach who could blend NCAA popularity with professional structure. Nothing is official yet, but insiders claim meetings have already been held quietly within Pacers Sports and Entertainment. And the tone of those meetings can be summed up in one word.
So some of the WNBA players are still feeling some type of way about the whole Caitlin Clark situation. They're like, we're not jealous. What are we jealous about? Stop lying. Maybe not all of y'all are jealous, but some of y'all are jealous.
Veteran players were reportedly furious, some even tearful, after hearing that Stephanie White's fate might already be decided. She was the one who stood by them through the rough seasons, who defended them when media pressure got ugly. And now, she's the one on the chopping block. One player allegedly told a friend, "We didn't even get a chance to fight for her." Meanwhile, younger players, and especially those closer to Caitlin Clark, once stayed silent. They didn't want to pick sides, but sometimes silence speaks for itself. Clark herself reportedly remained neutral, focused on training and staying out of the chaos. But inside Simon's circle, that quiet was interpreted as approval. In their minds, no comment means no conflict. And so the divide grew. Those who loved White felt betrayed. Those who wanted change felt relieved. The entire building felt cold. Officially, of course, nothing is happening. Pacers Sports and Entertainment released a short statement saying the organization is evaluating its direction for next season. No mention of White, no mention of changes, but employees say otherwise. They've been told to avoid media speculation, stay off social platforms, and keep the message consistent. It's the same playbook Simon used during last summer's internal shakeups. Silence, then replacement. Podcasters and WNBA reporters are already connecting the dots. One viral post from Live SportsWire claimed, "Expect a coaching announcement before the holidays." Fans are reading between the lines too. Comments across Fever social media all say the same thing. Steve Simon is taking over completely. White's gone. It's the Caitlin Clark show now. And honestly, they might not be wrong. If you're confused about this story, just follow the money. It never lies. Since Clark arrived, Fever revenue has exploded. Ticket sales, jersey sales, sponsorships, all have tripled from before. But here's the key. Every dollar flows through Pacers Sports and Entertainment, the company Steve Simon controls. So when viewership dipped or when locker room tension started costing positive headlines, Simon didn't see emotion. He saw numbers dropping. To him, this wasn't about basketball. It was about brand protection.
That's even been something like me and Steph have like always talk about when we go and watch film, and even like that New York game where like I played really, really well. I started the fourth quarter off with like 3 turnovers in a row or 2 turnovers in a row, and Steph yanked me and she was like this is like a learning moment. Do we need that in this moment? Like, no.
Insiders say Steve Simon's reasoning is brutally simple. You can't build a billion-dollar product with a divided locker room. And in his eyes, the only way to fix division is through a change in leadership. Stephanie White wasn't failing as a coach. She was failing as a brand manager. That's why, according to one insider, marketing executives were consulted before basketball staff to ensure the next hire aligns with the franchise's growth strategy. Translation: the next coach will sell just as hard as they coach. Now, every sign points to the same outcome. a complete rebrand of the Fever from the top down. Front office staff are already bracing for departures. PR teams have begun drafting transition messages. Player agents are quietly asking for clarity on next season's leadership before negotiating contracts. The dominoes are lining up one by one. The most shocking part? Some insiders believe the decision to fire Stephanie White was made weeks ago. They're just waiting for the right time to announce it, probably after the league's off-season media cycle cools down, when fewer headlines can compete, and when it drops, it won't be dramatic. It'll be corporate, a short press release, a polite thank you quote, and a new coach unveiled 48 hours later. That's how billionaires operate. No emotion, no mess, just efficiency. But here's what worries people inside the organization. When everything becomes about control, the soul of the team disappears. Stephanie White wasn't just a coach. She was the last piece of the Fever's identity before the takeover. She represented the old values, development, chemistry, trust. The same principles that built the Fever's championship legacy years ago. Steve Simon, however, is chasing something else. Dominance through profit. And Caitlin Clark, whether she wants to be or not, has become the centerpiece of that plan. If Simon gets his wish and replaces White with someone fully aligned to his vision, Indiana could become unstoppable or soulless, because culture doesn't break all at once. It fades piece by piece until one day you look up and realize the jerseys are the same, but the heart is gone. Fans always notice first. They feel the energy shift before reporters ever write about it. And lately, they've been loud. Online forums are filled with comments like, "White deserves better." "Steve Simon's ruining what made the Fever special." This is becoming a business, not a basketball team, but others defend Simon's decision, saying, the league needs this kind of leadership. Clark's the future. Build around her completely. It's a debate that splits the fan base right down the middle, much like the locker room itself, and that's the irony of it all. The same star who united the WNBA's attention may be unintentionally dividing her own franchise. This isn't just about Stephanie White. It's about what the WNBA is becoming. More visibility, more money, more control, concentrated in fewer hands. Steve Simon's playbook is simple. Find the most marketable player, center the entire franchise around her, and replace anyone who slows growth. It's ruthless, it's effective, and it's spreading. Other owners are reportedly watching closely, studying Indiana's business boom despite its internal chaos. Because in modern sports, profitability often beats peace. And Simon, he's ahead of the curve. He's not just trying to win games. He's trying to rewrite how power works in women's basketball. So here's where things stand right now. Stephanie White's seat is officially hot. Executives are under review. Players are divided. And Steve Simon is quietly preparing his final chess move. Insiders believe an announcement could come any day now. A clean break disguised as a mutual decision. But make no mistake, this would mark the end of an era. Because once White is gone, every piece of the Fever puzzle will lead back to one name: Simon. The owner, the strategist, the storyteller. And that's exactly how he wants it. Maybe this was inevitable. When generational wealth collides with generational talent, someone always loses control. And it's never the billionaire. Steve Simon's empire is built on precision. He doesn't yell. He doesn't panic. He just replaces. And if the rumors are true, Stephanie White is next in line. The Fever might win more games next season. They might sell more jerseys, fill more arenas, break more records, but at what cost? Because you can rebuild rosters. You can replace coaches. But once trust is gone, it's gone. If you think Steve Simon's making the right call, or if you think he's destroying the team from within, drop your thoughts below. I read every single one. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and stay locked in. Because if this rumor becomes reality, Indiana Fever history might be rewritten overnight. Overnight.